Hey, and welcome back to Tabe Language E. We are on Strategy 6. We're about halfway through this book, actually, and we just finished the first unit that was on English grammar. And the next few lessons are actually going to be on defining vocabulary words, words that may be familiar when you encounter them on the text or in your reading. So we're going to talk about strategies to glean or to get the meaning of words when you may not be familiar with them. Maybe you've seen them before, you don't know what they mean. As you know, you're not going to have the dictionary on the test, and we don't often have access to a dictionary or Google when we are reading, so it's definitely an important skill to be able to define words when you see them. All right? So kind of like usual, I'm going to go through the instructional part of this lesson, and then in the second video, I'll go over the practice, and you can watch that after you've practiced on your own on these pages. But this is not going to be a super long lesson. A lot of this is pretty clear cut, and some of it is going to be familiar to you, I think, as well. So strategy 6 is on determining the meaning of words and phrases. I'll read this introduction here because it's going to give us some key terms. Words can be broken into their parts to help determine the meaning. So yeah, we're talking about breaking down words into smaller parts. Kind of like we broke down sentences into smaller parts a few lessons ago. The root is the base or main part of a word. A prefix is a word part added to the beginning of a word. So actually the prefix pre means before, so that's why we know that if we are using a prefix, it's added to the beginning of a word. We are affixing that to the beginning. A suffix, it's the opposite, is a word part added to the end of a word. Learn the meanings of common prefixes and suffixes. That's what we're about to do. They can help you figure out the meanings of unfamiliar words. So we've got 4 of our prefixes here. Obviously, there are many more, but these are some of the most common. You can expect to see these on the test. Pre, I've already explained, but just to kind of break it down for you, in preview, the root word is view, which means to see. So before seeing. Preteen, the root is teen. So a preteen is someone at an age before adolescence, before being a teenager. Or pre-wash, root word wash. So the procedure we do before we wash, whatever it is. Un and non both mean not. So if we add those to a root, we're basically negating its meaning. So unfair means not fair. Unclear means not clear. Nonsense means, well, it's not sensical. Non-believer means not a believer, and so on. And then RE is another pretty common prefix. Maybe the most common prefix. We use it a lot, and it means again. I would say it's difficult to speak for any length of time without using a prefix RE word. But renew, to make new again, regain, to gain again, retell, to tell again, and so on. Suffixes go on the end of the words. I think that their meaning might be a little bit more abstract, to use a term that I talked about when I was explaining nouns. But I think that we, for the most part, understand what kind of word we have when we see these suffixes. So the first is tion, and it means action or process. And of course, our example here in the first one would be celebrate, the verb celebrate. But if we want to turn it into a word that means the process of celebrating, then we make celebration. We don't have to add a T because celebrate already has one, but we drop the E and add ION. The process of revising is revision. The process of deciding is decision. Okay, ABLE, being able, there's a clue to it right there in the suffix itself. But predictable, able to predict. Preventable, able to prevent. MENT, the result of. So movement, root word move, the result of moving. Retirement, the result of retiring. LESS, without. So careless means without care. The root word in endless is end, and it means without end. And helpless means without help. And then lastly here, WARD means in a certain direction. So backward, the root word is back, so this word means in the direction of back. in the direction of down, in the direction of home. Awkward, I'm not really sure about. Look that one up on your own. I'm not sure what the root is and what it means, but I think we all know what awkward does mean. Okay. And then this last section here, it's telling us that, it's possible to have, a prefix, a suffix, multiple prefixes, multiple suffixes, and sometimes we have more than one determination to make about a word's meaning when we're breaking it down. And so they gave you some examples here. Additional, our root word is add. I think we know what that means, to make something more or to add to it. But if we add the tion part, then we end up with addition, which is the action or process of adding. But if we add al on there, then we're turning it into adjective form, like give me an additional reason for your performance. Or non-renewable. So non, of course, means not. And means again, so it is not able to be renewed again. Knowledgeable, our root word is know, and the suffix ledge, it's related actually to the term ledger, which means like a record that you keep of something. So knowledge literally means like record of knowing. And if we add able, the ability to know, or having a lot of knowledge, that's the meaning of the word. So even when you get to one of these longer words, some of the same processes of breaking them down into prefixes, suffixes, and roots can help you determine the meaning. Okay, a few more strategies here. There's also what we call compound words, and these are not necessarily prefixes or suffixes, but rather two root words that have been put together, like after and new. I'm not going to break down the meaning of all these because I assume that you do. But babysitter is made of baby and sitter. Firecracker is made of fire and cracker. Newspaper, news, and paper. So, determining the meaning of both roots can help you determine the meaning of the word as a whole. And I'll read what they've said about that too, because it may help to see the process itself. You can get a clue about the meaning of the compound word by looking at the meanings of the smaller words. For example, what does the compound word overabundance mean? Well, abundance means a lot of something. Over can mean an excess amount. Therefore, overabundance means too much of something. Okay, and then our last strategy here is context. You probably learned this as context clues. This might be the more cloudy, murky way to determine the meaning of words, but it actually is the way we do it the most often. So certainly master using context clues to define words. I would say on the TABE and GED that context clues to define words is the strategy that's asked for the most, before prefixes, before compound words, and everything like that. Okay, another way to figure out the meanings of unfamiliar words is to use context. Context is the information in the words and sentences around a word. Think about the meaning of the sentence or paragraph that contains the unknown word. Can you guess what the word means? Once you think you know the meaning, reread the sentence or paragraph to make sure the meaning makes sense, or look up the word in a dictionary. So what it's saying here is that within a sentence, there could be clues to a word's meaning. There could be synonyms to that word. There could be antonyms to that word. The writing may define that term in some way. They may just give a formal definition. There's a lot of different ways that context clues may appear. Being able to use them to point toward the meaning of the word is a necessary skill. Okay, let's look at this sentence and see how it works. The team had been in last place all season, but in their final game, they won 14-0. The coach said that fans should never underestimate the power of her team. Okay, what does underestimate mean? And if you know what it means, then just kind of pretend that you don't here for a minute. Think about the word in context. The team was in last place, bottom of the barrel. It sounds like they're not a good team. But then they won a game by a lot. Under means below, and estimate means a guess. So here they're actually, breaking it down into the compound word parts. How is the coach describing the team's power? She thinks they have enough power to win and that people do not think enough of their power. She warns that they should not underestimate the team or think too little of it. And what I like about that example is we do have the context clues that explained, but also as this student or whoever's analyzing this sentence got a little bit closer to the meaning through context, they also broke down the compound word too. Underestimate, determined the meanings of those parts and got the full meaning from there. Okay, the test tip says when a test question asks you to use context clues to figure out the meaning of a word you do not know, think about its part of speech. So yeah, try to determine, is it a noun? Is it an adjective? Is it a verb? Is it an adverb? Or is it a describing word, an adjective, or an action word, verb? This can help you know where to look in the sentence for clues to its meaning. All right, we have gotten to the guided practice part of this, so go ahead and do this practice. I'm going to stop this video, and once you have done this, then click on the Strategy 6 Answers and Explanation video. Won't be a long one on this one, I promise.